From Art Deco on the seabed to massive oil rigs and tunnels, or perhaps a private floating room in the Indian Ocean or a submerged restaurant off the coast of Norway. Is there anything humans can't do? Humans, and of course big complicated machines like cofferdams, barges, and cranes, to hydraulic hammers, steel piles, and undersea robots. Welcome to the fascinating world of underwater construction. Perdido. Located in the Gulf of Mexico, this is the deepest offshore structure ever built. And even though there are 125 oil rigs operating in the Gulf of Mexico, this one sure stands out. As the deepest and biggest oil drilling platform in the world, the Perdido plunges at a depth of over 8,000 feet below the surface of the water, with the hull and platform alone weighing as much as 55,000 tons, while decks are as big as 2 football fields. Owned and operated by Shell, the biggest oil processing company in the world, the rig produces 130,000 barrels of oil per day, using a giant floating cylinder called the spar, which was built in Finland and tethered to the seabed using 9 mooring lines designed to withstand the most intense storms and hurricanes. Once built, a giant barge was used to move the spar on an 8,200-mile journey from the Baltic Sea to Texas in the US. As tall as the Eiffel Tower, building this central structure took over 2 million working hours before the rig was ready to tap into oil and gas reservoirs lying 8,000 feet beneath the seabed. Did you know Perdido is connected to 35 undersea wells through an intricate system of pipelines set up using the latest subsea robotic technologies out there? That includes the Tobago Well, the world's deepest subsea well plunging at 9,267 feet below the seabed. And just like other offshore structures, the underwater portion of Perdido has given birth to a new coral reef system, with divers often running into marine animals like squids and sharks casually hovering around the well. The Eiksund Tunnel. Out there in Norway, they love a good tunnel, connecting the islands of Landet to the Norwegian mainland. The Eiksund is one of the deepest underwater tunnels in the world. Plunging to a depth of 287 meters deep below sea level, the tunnel spans over a length of 7,765 meters, making it one of the longest underwater tunnels in Europe, reducing travel time from a 45-minute ferry ride to a quick 10-minute journey by car. Built to improve the state of maritime traffic in the Eiksund Strait, the tunnel has been a boon for the local economy, increasing tourism in the area. A truly impressive feat of engineering where 1,300 tons of explosives used to remove 660,000 cubic meters of rock through drilling and blasting. Running 25,476 feet under the Valdarsfjorden, the tunnel was built at a staggering cost of 500 million Norwegian kroner. And despite a roller coaster of delays, the new tunnel finally opened its lanes to the public in 2008. Between then and 2012, it was officially the deepest undersea tunnel in the world, surpassed only by another Norwegian feat, the Ryfast, which holds the current record for being the deepest tunnel in the world at a depth of 295 meters. That's about 5 meters deeper than the Eiksund. Part of a grand scheme including 3 tunnels and a bridge, the Eiksund Tunnel stands as a spectacular testament to human ingenuity and ambition. So if you're venturing to Norway, embark on this one-of-a-kind undersea experience you simply won't forget. Aquarius Research Facility, Florida Keys. Ever heard of the term aquanaut? Well, if you ever find yourself in Florida Keys, you might get a chance to meet one if you visit the only permanent underwater research lab in the world. Just a few miles south of Key Largo, this underwater habitat sits 62 feet below the surface of the water, right next to Conch Reef. Here's another head-scratcher. Did you know this marine sanctuary is also used by NASA as a training site, thanks to the fact that low conditions of gravity found in space can be easily replicated this deep in the water? Imagine being huddled up inside a structure the size of a school bus, only 7 people at a time. In the words of one trainee, once we were thrown to the sharks some 5 nautical miles off the coast, it was anything but your typical scuba dive. When diving into water, you have to wear hard, bulky hats for a constant supply of air through a hose pipe called the umbilical, which contains all of the communication lines connecting you to the rest of the research team. Thanks to the intense pressure on the seabed, after just 24 hours, your body will see a massive shoot up in nitrogen levels, which means getting back on land right away could lead to dizziness and breathing problems. So before you hit solid ground, you have to get rid of all the excess nitrogen, a process that could take up a whole day. Ithaa Undersea Restaurant, the Maldives. Ithaa, which means mother of pearl in Divehi, is an undersea restaurant in the beautiful Maldives. Trust me, you don't need to be a scuba diver or a snorkeler or even a swimmer to enjoy what is probably the coolest underwater space in the world. 16 feet below sea level, near the Rangali Island, say hello to the only all-glass undersea restaurant on the planet. As you take in the incredible views of coral gardens around you, with an entry cap of just 14 people, Ithaa is also the most exclusive place to have dinner. But just like all good things in life, this incredible experience of dining with rays and sharks comes at a steep price. Lunch for two will cost you a whopping $500. Okay, by now you're probably wondering how this massive glass dome was lowered into the sea and why the glass won't crack. You see, underwater structures use a special type of acrylic glass that doesn't shatter in the face of intense water pressure. This domed glass structure was built in Singapore, shipped in one piece on a barge, and lowered into the sea using a crane on a foundation of 4 steel piles hammered into the seabed. To learn more about how massive structures are built underwater, check our video in the link below. Built at a staggering cost of $5 million, the Ithaa is a project of the iconic hotel chain Hilton, where diners get to kickstart their meal with drinks on a specially constructed deck over the ocean, descending to the restaurant through a spiral staircase for a tantalizing menu of contemporary and fusion Maldivian dishes waiting to be devoured. The Lost Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Great Pyramids of Giza may be the only wonder of the ancient world to have withstood the test of time. Or is it? Beneath the eastern harbor of Alexandria, Egypt, still lies the iconic Lighthouse of Alexandria. One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the lighthouse once stood over 100 meters tall. Sadly, a series of earthquakes have destroyed the lighthouse, with many bits and pieces dumped into the Mediterranean. After a long lifespan of 17 centuries, by the end of 1480 CE, nothing of the lighthouse remained. At least there was nothing you could see on the ground. That's right. If you're a real history buff, dying to see the ruins of this ancient megastructure, you must dive into the floor of the harbor, where you can explore the incredible masonry blocks once part of the lighthouse, or discover a statue of Ptolemy II. These sunken remains of the most legendary lighthouse in history were first rediscovered in 1994. Fast forward to date, and this historic harbor is teeming with all kinds of ancient artifacts, from obelisks to black granite statues. There's even talk of building an underwater museum. I think we're on board. So there you have it, folks. From underwater parks, museums, hotels, and restaurants to unimaginable feats of engineering, such as deep-sea tunnels for trains, ships, and cars. Remember, more than 70% of the Earth is covered with water, with some of the tallest man-made structures now built in water, not land. If you want to learn more about the fascinating world of underwater construction, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss out.